Sauron, the Dark Lord, is one of the most iconic villains in literary history. His looming presence pervades J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, even when he remains largely unseen. More than just a malevolent force, Sauron is a complex character with a long and fascinating history that stretches back to the very beginnings of Arda, the world of Middle-earth. Understanding his origins, motivations, and transformations is crucial to grasping the depth and richness of Tolkien's epic saga. This deep dive will explore the details of Sauron's journey, from a powerful Maya to the ultimate antagonist. Greetings all, I'm your guide, the Archivist. Today I will look at the history of Sauron. Before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe waystones down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. Before he became the Dark Lord, Sauron was known as Mairon, meaning the Admirable. He was one of the Maiar, angelic beings who aided the Valar, the principal powers of Arda, in its creation. Mairon was drawn to Aule, the Valar smith and craftsman. Under Aule's tutelage, Mairon became a master of craft, order, and organization. This early affinity for order and the desire for implementation of his vision on a grand scale would later become a defining characteristic of Sauron's reign. It's important to note that Mairon was not inherently evil. He admired Aule's skill and shared his passion for creation and implementing order. However, his desire for control and his belief of the efficiency of absolute power laid the seeds for his eventual descent into darkness. This is a crucial detail that highlights the nuanced nature of his fall. The turning point in Mairon's history came with the rebellion of Melkor, later known as Morgoth, the first Dark Lord. Morgoth, consumed by envy and a desire to dominate Arda, sowed discord and corrupted the world's beauty. Mairon, impressed by Morgoth's power and promises of swift and effective change, ultimately joined his cause. He saw in Morgoth a way to bring order to the perceived chaos of the world, even if it meant doing so through force and domination. This decision marked the beginning of Mairon's transformation into Sauron. He became Morgoth's most trusted lieutenant, carrying out his master's will with ruthless efficiency. He learned the arts of deception, manipulation, and warfare, becoming a formidable force in his own right. During this time, he participated in countless acts of cruelty and destruction, solidifying his allegiance to darkness. He mastered the art of disguise and subversion, skills he would later use to devastating effect. The details of his actions during Morgoth's reign are often horrific, showcasing the extent of his corruption. During the First Age, Sauron played a significant role in Morgoth's wars against the elves and men. He commanded armies, fortified fortresses, and engaged in acts of sorcery. He was a master of shape-shifting, taking on various forms to terrorize his enemies. One of the most terrifying manifestations was the Lord of Werewolves, commanding packs of monstrous beasts and spreading fear throughout the land. Sauron's cunning and power allowed him to survive even the most devastating defeats suffered by Morgoth's forces. He proved to be a resilient and adaptable opponent, learning from his mistakes and constantly refining his strategies. Even when Morgoth was eventually defeated and banished from Arda by the Valar in the War of Wrath, Sauron managed to evade capture. This event marked a turning point, as Sauron now had to forge his own destiny, free from the influence of Morgoth but still deeply entrenched in the ways of darkness. The details of the War of Wrath are crucial to understanding Sauron's survival and subsequent ambition. After Morgoth's defeat, Sauron initially feigned repentance, hoping to gain forgiveness from the Valar. However, his pride and lust for power ultimately prevented him from abandoning his dark ambitions. He remained in Middle-earth, biding his time and plotting his return to dominance. In the Second Age, Sauron adopted the guise of Annatar, the Lord of Gifts. Under this fair and benevolent persona, he approached the elves of Eregion, claiming to be an emissary of the Valar sent to them to aid them in their crafts. The elves, particularly the Gwaith Mirdan, the jewelsmiths, were eager to learn from Annatar's vast knowledge and skill. Sauron, through Annatar, guided the elves into forging the Rings of Power. He taught them the techniques for crafting rings that could grant their wearers immense power and longevity. Unbeknownst to the elves, Sauron had a sinister plan. In secret, he forged the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom, a ring designed to control all the other rings of power and enslave their wearers to his will. The inscription on the ring: one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them, revealed his true intentions. When Sauron placed the One Ring on his finger, the elves immediately became aware of his treachery. They removed their own rings and hid them, preventing Sauron from directly controlling them. This act sparked the War of the Elves and Sauron, a devastating conflict that ravaged Middle-earth. Sauron's armies conquered vast territory, and he nearly succeeded in destroying the Elven realms. However, a combined force of elves and Númenóreans, a powerful human kingdom, intervened and ultimately defeated Sauron, driving him back to Mordor. The details of this war highlight Sauron's ambition and the devastating consequences of his actions. Despite his defeat, Sauron was not destroyed. He returned to Mordor and rebuilt his power base. He continued to wage war against the elves and men, seeking to dominate Middle-earth. His growing power eventually drew the attention of the Númenóreans, who were becoming increasingly arrogant and envious of the elves' immortality. Sauron allowed himself to be captured by the Númenórean king Al-Pharazôn and brought to the Island Kingdom as a hostage. However, this was a calculated move. Sauron, through his cunning and persuasive words, slowly corrupted the Númenóreans, playing on their fears of death and promising them immortality if they worshipped him as a god. He convinced them to abandon their worship of Eru-Ilúvatar, the Wand God, and to attack Valinor, the Undying Lands. This act of rebellion against the Valar brought about the downfall of Númenor. Eru-Ilúvatar intervened, sinking the Island Kingdom beneath the waves and annihilating its inhabitants. Sauron was also caught in the destruction, but his spirit survived. He returned to Middle-earth, weakened but not defeated, bringing with him the ring and a burning desire for revenge. This event showcases Sauron's manipulative genius and his ability to exploit the weaknesses of others to achieve his goals. The historical details surrounding the downfall of Númenor are a testament to the power of Sauron's influence. Upon his return to Middle-earth, Sauron resumed his war against the elves and men. He gathered his forces in Mordor and launched a massive assault on Gondor, a kingdom founded by the surviving Númenóreans. However, this time the elves and men forged an alliance, known as the Last Alliance, to stand against him. The War of the Last Alliance was a long and arduous conflict. The armies of the Alliance marched to Mordor and laid siege to Barad-dûr, Sauron's fortress. After years of fighting, the Alliance finally breached the gate and confronted Sauron himself. In a climactic battle, Isildur, the son of King Elendil, cut the One Ring from Sauron's hand. With the ring severed, Sauron's physical form was destroyed. His spirit fled, but he was not vanquished. As long as the One Ring existed, Sauron could not be truly defeated. He remained a lingering shadow, a threat that could resurface if the ring fell into his hands again. The Third Age saw the rise and fall of many kingdoms and the slow decline of the elves. Sauron, in his weakened state, slowly rebuilt his power in secret. He established a new stronghold at Dol Guldur, in Mirkwood, and began gathering his forces once more. The discovery of the One Ring by Bilbo Baggins set in motion the events that would lead to Sauron's final downfall. The Fellowship of the Ring was formed to carry the ring to Mount Doom and destroy it, thus ending Sauron's threat forever. After a long and perilous journey, Frodo Baggins, the Ring-bearer, reached Mount Doom. However, at the last moment he was overcome by the ring's power and claimed it for himself. Gollum, a creature consumed by his desire for the ring, intervened and bit the ring from Frodo's finger, falling into the fiery chasm of Mount Doom. With the destruction of the One Ring, Sauron's power was finally extinguished. His fortresses crumbled, his army scattered, and his spirit faded into nothingness. The long shadow of the Dark Lord was finally lifted from Middle-earth. The final details of Sauron's demise are a poignant commentary on the corrupting influence of power and the importance of resisting temptation. The history of Sauron is a complex and compelling narrative of ambition, corruption, and ultimately downfall. From his beginnings as a skilled and admired Maiar to his reign as the Dark Lord, Sauron's journey is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, and the allure of darkness. His story underscores the importance of free will, the seductive nature of control, and the enduring power of good to triumph over evil. Understanding the details of Sauron's history provides a deeper appreciation for the richness and the complexity of Tolkien's masterpiece, The Lord of the Rings. And so I have now covered the content for this video. If there's anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to like the like and subscribe waypoints down below. Now Luiga Vanidvan, until we meet again.